Today is February the 1st, 2025. Developing news coming out in the last 24 hours is take a look at the latest headlines with me. Cartels authorize the use of weaponized drones against ICE. Threats have been made on social media. Posts suggest ways to end the lives or harm federal agents, and agents have been told to take precautions. Take a look at some more headlines. Cartels using weaponized drones at the border. Not surprising, says Ivy. And also, Border Patrol, cartels okay drone bombs on agents. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you the latest information coming out on this as we're hearing that our ICE agents that are doing these mass deportations at this time, they are under the threat of potential weaponized drone attacks. The cartel has authorized and approved this to be done. Now, in addition to that, take a look at this as well. This comes as no one was injured after Border Patrol cartel shootout in Texas. I had reported this to you as soon as it had happened. We had heard that there already had been a shootout that had unfolded in Fronton, Texas. Now we're hearing weaponized drones are being approved to be used against those on the border. And also, take a look at this. False rumors of ICE raids spark panic in cities around the United States as we're hearing that there is a lot of false information floating around about what ICE is doing, which is causing a lot of hate against them. They're telling them to do terrible things to the ICE agents. So I'm going to share with you some more information, and this comes also as we had heard that there is an executive order that Trump signed on Wednesday. Trump orders a crackdown on anti-Semitism and could deport foreign student protesters. We are hearing that those students that are here on visas that are saying that they are supporting Hamas and anti-Semitic rhetoric and are anti-American, well, Trump is saying that they're going to be coming for them next to pack their bags. They're going to be sending them out. As I'm going to get you caught up on the latest coming out in the last 24 hours as we're hearing that ICE is busy at work and now is receiving some pretty major threats from the cartels on the border. So let's go ahead and dive right in, get you caught up on the latest as of today, February the 1st, 2025. And if you appreciate the updates, don't forget to take a quick second before we dive in. Hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further across the YouTube platform. Hit subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything so that way you know exactly what is going on. And also, as always, these articles are going to be linked, referenced in the description below with hyperlinks so you can click them, see them for yourself. I try to cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it so that way you can rest assured and know that this is the latest information coming out. Try to hold myself accountable to the community, and also additional resources linked down below as well. If you missed my update earlier today, we had received information about warnings about potential World War III threats and issues with things going on with China building nuclear resistant bunkers, and also Iran as well, revealing that they have several underground missile cities. And so there's a lot of concern right now between the United States and our adversaries. And the U.S. today also, I shared with you, has hit ISIS groups in Somalia. So things are definitely escalating. So if you want to get resources to make sure that you're prepared for anything, particularly EMP blast or power outages going down, which are some of the warnings we've received, that is going to be linked in the description below. I've got a totally free guide. You just go ahead and click it, put your email, it gets sent right to you. And in addition to that, other resources, Amazon links to various things if you want to stock up for you and your family. But like I said, let's go ahead and get you caught up on the latest that's coming out as we've received word about the cartel authorizing the use of weaponized drones against ICE agents so that way you can see it for yourself. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article that came out in the last 24 hours. And it says, coming out from News Nation, cartels have authorized the use of weaponized drones, explosives against border agents and other U.S. law enforcement at the southern border as violent threats are escalating on social media, with some promising to use deadly force against immigration and customs enforcement officers. U.S. Customs and Border Protection is taking the threats seriously enough to circulate 2 memos among agents and officers within the agency. Copies of the memos were obtained by News Nation. One of the communications references 3 different social media posts that include threats against these ICE agents. One post encourages people to assassinate ICE police, while a TikTok video tells immigrants illegally in the United States to spit and urinate on ICE agents' food and defecate in their vehicles. Another post calls for the ending of local ICE agents' lives. And Christina Christ, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I see you. My family appreciates you so much. I appreciate that. I will continue to keep you up to speed on everything, Christina. Reading on, it says a second memo warns that cartels have authorized the use of drones explosives against CBP personnel and U.S. law enforcement officers as well. Border czar Tom Hammond told News Nation this week that leaked information about targeted operations has forced authorities to pivot to keep officers and agents safe. Now, we've got many targeted cities, but I'm not going to share them with you because we got to keep our officers safe, Hammond said. Matter of fact, Chicago, that operation was leaked, so we had to reschedule that one. But we need an element of surprise because of officer safety issues. We don't want the bad guys to know we're coming, he added. Agents are reminded to be cognizant of their surroundings and should be wearing their ballistic armor and utilizing their long firearms. Maryland Representative Glenn Ivey, a member of the House Homeland Security Committee, told News Nation that weaponized drones have become more common in warfare, so it's not surprising that cartels may be poised to use them at the U.S. border. So there you have it, you guys. And again, this coming out, you can see February the 1st, 2025, probably about 9 hours ago. As this is starting to unfold over the last 24 hours, we're hearing that this has been approved by the cartels. They have authorized the use of weaponized drones against immigration officers. Now, here's another one that came out from Yahoo News, referencing News Nation, says cartel using weaponized drones at the border, not surprising, says Ivey. Representative Glenn Ivey, a member of the Homeland Security Committee, says weaponized drones, they have become more common in warfare, so it's not surprising cartels may be poised to use them at the U.S. border. The Democratic congressman from Maryland joins The Hill. So also The Hill now also reporting on this as well, as we are hearing that more information starting to come out and more warnings to our U.S. ICE agents. Here's another one coming out as well from Newsmax. Border Patrol cartels okay drone bombs to be used on agents. Now, this one came out yesterday, like I said, in the last 24 hours. Violence is growing along the Rio Grande Valley, where Mexican drug cartels are threatening to use drones to drop bombs on U.S. Border Patrol agents, according to a U.S. Border Patrol memo obtained by Newsmax. This is a major increase in the threat to the United States, and it's specifically in the southern region where we've been talking about recently, where we've had a lot of gun battles between the U.S. Border Patrol and with the Cartel del Noreste near Fronton, Texas. Newsmax' Jason Jones reported. The memo from the Border Patrol's Rio Grande Valley sector, dated Thursday, urges personnel to take all precautions and states that the cartels have authorized the use of weaponized drones, explosives, being used against the Border Patrol and U.S. law enforcement officers. The memo comes as the U.S. State Department issued a Level 4 warning for all government personnel and U.S. citizens to not travel to the Mexican state of Tamaulipas, which is separated from Texas by the Rio Grande, Jones noted. The travel warning was listed on the website for the U.S. Embassy and the consulates in Mexico on Monday, the day the gunfire was reported in Fronton. It lists only that city with a do not travel to distinction. The order states, I believe that should be the border states, issued a warning that people must avoid moving or touching IEDs, which have been found along roads and in areas of Reynosa, Rio Bravo, Valle Hermoso, and San Fernando. As a precaution, U.S. government employees have been ordered to avoid all travel in and around Reynosa and Rio Bravo outside of daylight hours and to avoid dirt roads throughout Tamaulipas, the warnings state. Here's what's happening, Jones said. Cartel del Golfo and Cartel del Noreste, two of the major factions, down there that have been fighting for a very long period of time. They have been setting up improvised explosive devices in the ground on these little back roads where most of these cartel operations happen, where they battle one another. The cartels usually use Tovex, a readily available mining explosive, for its IEDs, said Jones. They've been using this kind of explosives going back to 2010, he added. The reason is because you can get it all over. They use it to make roads. They use it for mining. Jones referred to the situation as involving major changes and said that President Donald Trump's executive order seeking to designate the Mexican cartels as terrorist organizations couldn't have come at a better time. So, wow, there you have it, you guys. We are hearing that they have, in fact, in the last 24 hours, we're hearing the cartels have approved the use of drone bombs, explosives, to be used on ICE agents at the border. So these warnings coming out. So definitely say a prayer for our ICE agents that are trying to enforce these new laws that have been enacted by Donald Trump by executive order. They are doing the greatest mass deportation that our nation has ever seen as a result of the Biden administration's open border policies over the past several years that have allowed tons of people in. And they're saying right now they are capturing and deporting the most violent criminals. And we are seeing the cartels pushing back with all that is unfolding here in the United States. Now, this comes as we had mentioned, there actually have been shootouts at the border recently as well between the cartels and ICE. And I reported this to you a couple days ago when it had come out. It says no one was injured at the border after Border Patrol cartel shootout in Texas. Now, let's just do a quick recap here so we can take a look at this as tensions have been escalating at the U.S. border. The U.S. Border Patrol was involved in a shootout with cartel members in the Rio Grande Valley, the Texas Department of Public Safety says. The tense moments unfolded Monday in Fronton, Texas. At around 1:40 p.m., shots were fired from the Mexican side of the border at agents. The Border Patrol agents took cover, returned fire, and called for backup. Drone footage from Texas DPS shows suspected cartel members fleeing after firing shots. No one was injured on either side. Department of Homeland Security sources tell News Nation that the cartel members were attempting to smuggle a group across the river, but they did not make it onto U.S. soil. An investigation into the incident is ongoing. U.S. agents are working closely with Mexican authorities. At this time, no arrests have been made. The state of Texas will continue to monitor the area closely and use every resource available to prevent transnational threats to our law enforcement partners and to the homeland. Texas DPS spokesperson Lieutenant Chris Olivares said on X. Now, Texas National Guard sent to the Rio Grande Valley. Now, the Rio Grande Valley is a place notorious for cartel activity and human smuggling. Texas Governor Greg Abbott deployed 400 additional Texas National Guard troops to the area. They arrived in McAllen on Monday from the Texas Technical Border Force Unit. The Border Force Unite was launched in 2023 as a part of the Texas Operation Lone Star Initiative. Border Patrol agents on the ground in the Rio Grande Valley say that they welcome the additional manpower and support. So that was also on Monday. So today we're hearing, or maybe yesterday, I believe it was Friday, in the last 24 hours roughly, we've heard the approval of weaponized drones to be used against ICE agents as they are shipping over individuals out of the United States. And we're hearing that it was back on Monday that there was shootouts that were taking place on the border in Texas. Now, what is actually taking place here? We're hearing there's a lot of false rumors. As you saw from the first article, there's a lot spreading around social media about doing harmful things against the ICE agents. Let's go ahead and take a look at this article that's going to give us a little bit more information. False rumors of ICE raids spark panic in cities around the United States. False rumors and panic have hit cities coast to coast after federal authorities began a nationwide immigration crackdown, prompting advocates and community leaders to warn people to seek reliable sources of information and keep calm. Misinformation can ripple through already tense communities, leading to people staying home from work and school. Within a couple of days of the Trump administration announcing that it would allow immigration and custom enforcement officers to conduct enforcement in schools, a false report that ICE officers had showed up to a Chicago elementary school was shared in news reports and even by the governor. A similar rumor spread in Philadelphia, prompting the school district of Philadelphia, the home of over 198,000 students, to release a statement denying that ICE had been in the school. In San Francisco, California, a middle schooler claimed that she encountered an ICE agent on a city bus, set off panic among parents and others in the city, per a report of the San Francisco Standard. Now, in immigration communities in Colorado, online posts warning of raids have spread quickly before local police have stepped in, saying that they were not aware of any such actions. And in Boston, on Tuesday, leaders of the Boston Children's Hospital reassured the public that ICE had not raided their facilities after several popular social media accounts reposted a false rumor. Now, misinformation is really dangerous because it creates panic and it creates chaos in any community, and immigrant communities are no different, says Conchita Cruz, co-executive director of the Asylum Seekers Advocacy Project. I think that part of what is so difficult about this moment for so many immigrants around the United States is that a lot of the executive orders, a lot of the policy changes that are being announced are really not clear. Top Trump administration officials have made contradictory statements about whether ICE raids would target people with criminal records or anyone in the country illegally. Immigration officials have also not offered specifics as to the circumstances under which they would attempt to arrest someone at a school, for example. Whether by design or not, the ambiguity is feeding into the climate of fear and confusion. This article coming out from Axios, but they're saying that a lot of these claims that ICE is raiding schools or going into like public schools, children's places, they're saying this is false information that is spreading. They're saying that right now they're going over after the most violent criminals and they are trying to get them. That is the priority. Now, what we have seen is, I did go ahead and watch some of the raids with you, shared the video footage. They said that they were getting some of the violent criminals, some of them with 17 criminal counts, shouting out, "I won't go back to Haiti." We've seen them from various different nations. But what they said is that when they actually capture individuals, if they find out that there is another illegal criminal that has committed crimes, maybe not some of the most violent, that they'll also get them as well. That a lot of them live in nearby close quarters, so they'll be able to capture one, and then while they're there, they'll pick up somebody else as well, even though they might not be on the violent criminal list. So, but they said over half, I believe they said, of that first shipment that went specifically to Colombia, which we saw the president of Colombia say that he would not take that plane. Well, he changed his mind after Trump threatened tariffs. But they said over half of the people that were on that plane were on their list of violent criminals that were illegal immigrants that had come over to the United States. So we are hearing that this is taking place right now. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you still glad to see this? After seeing the way things are operating and things, and we're hearing that some people are concerned, the ICE agents are now being shot at. They're having drone attack threats. And also, you're seeing on social media all the harmful things that people are suggesting be done to them. Are you still happy that Donald Trump is doing this? Do you still support the ICE agents and all of this? If so, put a 47 in the comments and let me know your thoughts. If not, and you think that this shouldn't be happening and we should still be following the Biden policies where basically it's open borders and people can still come in, put a 46. 46 for the Biden policies, 47 for the Trump policies. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget, while you're doing that, to just take a quick second and drop a like. But honestly, in my personal opinion, and thank you so much for that $5 super chat, Useful Idiot. I appreciate that. Cartels really want to test us with drones. That's funny. And I'm a better shot than Chris Kyles. Thank you for that, Useful Idiot. I appreciate that a ton. And yeah, that's kind of my thought as well. I think it's going to be another case of mess around and find out. The FAFO has been spreading a lot, and I think this might be another situation that we might experience if they really want to go there. Let me know your thoughts. But as far as the ICE agents go, this is my personal thought. I think that we should pray for them. I am thankful for them. I am thankful for Mr. Hammond. I'm thankful for Donald Trump. I feel like these are the worst criminals that have come over here illegally, And I honestly think that their nations don't want them because they're concerned about those hardened criminals being in their nation, and they are very happy that they're here in the United States and not over there. And I'm thankful that Donald Trump is going through, clearing them out, gathering them up, and shipping them back. And I also think that this will help make America more safe. And I appreciate a lot of the policies that he's putting into place. And he said, America is not going to get ripped off anymore. We're not going to be taken advantage of. We're going to make sure that we are the world leaders and respected yet again. And he said that the world has lost respect for the United States for the policies that we saw from the Biden administration. So right now we are seeing the largest mass deportation ever take place, and they are shipping these individuals out. Now, we also saw that the White House press secretary was asked and questioned, saying, hey, we had heard that only half, so it depends if it's over half or only half, but one of the questions that was asked in the briefing room was, we saw that about half of those that were shipped out were those violent criminals. Others were not. What do you say to that when we had heard that it was going to be primarily focused on those that have criminal records? To which she said, well, if you have come into our nation illegally, that automatically means that you have broken the law in the United States, and therefore you have committed a crime. However, the focus right now is primarily on getting those that have committed violent crimes and the most heinous crimes against the innocent, the elderly, and against young people out of here. So they're saying, hey, if there is anybody that is here illegally and you should not be here and you have not gone through the proper procedures for us to vet you and make sure that it's going to be safe for you to enter and contribute to the nation, well, then we're going to send you out as well. But right now, primarily focusing on violent criminals. This is what we heard from the White House press secretary. And I still see those 47s coming in and those likes, people saying that they support these new policies as well. And I got to say, it really makes you feel like, in my personal opinion, like that they are doing more to protect the United States and to protect citizens and to keep us safer from these violent criminals coming in. In addition to that, as we mentioned before, sleeper cell units that have come in as well. We're hearing that the FBI is watching all of these. And so there's a lot of concern about people just walking in. No vetting of who's coming in. We don't know why they're coming in, where they're coming in, what their intentions are, if they're planning to attack the United States, if they're just looking to seek for asylum or economic opportunity. And like we've said, the United States, Donald Trump, we heard him say that we welcome that. We welcome people coming in that want to contribute and help to the U.S. society and economy, yet at the same time, we have to make sure that that is exactly what they want, and that they're not here to cause harm to the people of our nation. And we need to do that through a vetted process. So they were saying that anybody that has come in, we haven't been able to do that process, you're going to have to go back, and you're going to have to go through the process to make sure that it is done correctly. Now, in addition to that, we also have seen an executive order signed on Wednesday. Go ahead and take a look at this. This is another one. This is what's coming next, if you're wondering. So as we're going through these ICE raids, also what is coming is Donald Trump has signed an executive order cracking down on anti-Semitism that could be deporting foreign student protesters. Useful Idiot says, back-to-back World War champions, don't forget it. Thank you for that, and that is correct. Now, reading on, it says, this coming out, you can see a couple days ago, this article, and I covered this for you as well when it had come out, but take a look at this. So this is what's going to be coming, and I actually would like to get your thoughts on this. Do you think this is a good thing or no? I've got several DMs on this from people saying that this would be a violation of freedom of speech and the First Amendment for people protesting against Jews, against what the United States is doing, and saying free Palestine. If you think that this is a good thing, what Donald Trump is doing via executive order by saying, hey, if you're here on visa and you're doing anti-Semitic and anti-U.S. Propaganda and you are protesting and burning flags, you need to get out of here. If you think that's good, put a 1. If you think it's bad, put a 2. Let me know your thoughts. But I was surprised. I received several DMs since I reported on this from Wednesday, people saying that this is a violation of freedom of speech and the First Amendment. We're going to discuss that in just a second because I did a little bit of research on it, and I'm just going to share with you guys a couple thoughts. So let's go through this article, then stick with me to the end. I'm going to share a little bit of insight as to what I've discovered looking into that as well. But I'm seeing a lot of ones pouring in and a lot of people saying And, that is my first thought as well, that if you have come in here with a visa to the United States, you are a student, and you're coming to educate yourself, you're going to protest against the nation that you're currently in. I think that they're very lucky that there is very liberal rules on freedom of speech in the United States. What would happen if the tables were turned and we did that in another nation? Let's say that we went over to a Middle Eastern country and started speaking bad about their country, or we did that in China or Russia. What do you think would happen to an American citizen doing that in those nations? Let me know your thoughts. But let's get into that in just a second. Let's go ahead and read this article. An executive order was signed on Wednesday by President Trump outlining a broad federal crackdown on the explosion of anti-Semitism in the United States, especially on college campuses, and says that he will cancel visas of foreign students who are Hamas sympathizers and deport pro-jihadist protesters. We put you on notice. Come 2025, we will find you and we will deport you, read a White House fact sheet about the order posts online Thursday. The order cites an unprecedented wave of vile anti-Semitism, discrimination, vandalism, and violence, and states that U.S. policy shall be to use all available and appropriate legal tools to prosecute, remove, and otherwise hold to account the perpetrators of unlawful anti-Semitic harassment and violence. It also directs all U.S. department and agency heads to come up with new means that they could employ to combat anti-Semitism within the next 60 days. Now, the order also lays out how some student protesters could be considered a violation of existing federal law that bars individuals from supporting terrorism, and it directs government officials to encourage schools to monitor and report any such activities by foreign students so that they can be investigated and possibly deported. Current immigration law cited in the order authorizes the deportation of non-citizens who endorses or espouses terrorist activity or persuades others to endorse or espouse terrorists' activity or support a terrorist organization. The U.S. government considers Hamas a terrorist organization. Trump's order was welcomed by students who've been reporting an alarming spike in anti-Semitism since October 7th of 2023, when Hamas led the attack on Israel that triggered the current war. Cornell University junior Amanda Silberstein says that she has been physically assaulted and harassed online and in person and feels unsafe on campus. But now, she says that she feels some relief that universities that have turned a blind eye to the harassment and assault of Jewish students can no longer ignore their basic responsibilities to protect all students equally. No other minority group is expected to tolerate constant threats and intimidation without recourse, yet Jewish students have been treated as the exception, she said. For far too long, Jew hatred festered under the guise of activism. But critics immediately denounced the move as an overreach and as unconstitutional. And this is some of the messages that I'd received since Wednesday. The revocation of student visas should not be used to punish and filter out ideas disfavored by the federal government, said Sarah McLaughlin, a senior scholar with the Foundation of Individual Rights and Expression. Students who commit crimes, including vandalism, threats, or violence, must face consequences, and those consequences may include the loss of visas. But McLaughlin said that students must not be punished for protest or expression otherwise protected by the First Amendment. Now, the Council of American Islamic Relations called the executive order an attempt to smear the diverse group of student protesters who, like the college students who once protested segregation, the Vietnam War, and apartheid South Africa, deserve our country's thanks. Many campuses do not have a clearly stated definition of what crosses the line into anti-Semitism. And many student protesters, they have complained that their anti-Israel demonstrations, they have been unfairly conflated with anti-Semitism. But many Jewish students reject that notion, saying what they've experienced has clearly veered into the realm of violence and harassment. I do think universities should be a place where the First Amendment is sacred and where students can have hard conversations about any issue, says University of Pennsylvania senior Noah Rubin. However, he says, extremists have made it clear that they're not here for conversation at all. Many of them have strict policies, actually, not the engage in conversation at all. This is not a First Amendment issue. It's a question of violence and intimidation and harassment. So there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Useful Idiot, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. If you are here on a visa, you shouldn't get all rights and privileges as if you're a citizen. Tell the Congress member if you agree. Thank you for that, Useful Idiot, $5 super chat and that statement. I appreciate it a ton. And actually, you make the first point that I wanted to mention, and that is I did a little bit of research here on the First Amendment, freedom of speech. I was curious, so I just delved into it a little bit myself. And but before I kind of start diving into it, again, do me a favor. I'd like to see people's thoughts on this. Do you think that they should be deported? If so, put a 1. If you think that they're here on visa, they are here on special privilege, they should be thankful to even be in the United States, and they're here for an education, not for a protest, put a 1. If you think that they should have the right to a freedom of speech and the ability to go ahead and share their thoughts, and that this is wrong, put a 2. I'd like to see people's thoughts in the comments, and then I'm going to share with you a couple of things that I recently discovered, and I'm seeing those ones starting to pour in. Yeah, a lot of ones coming in. Okay, so the first point, and don't forget, if you haven't done so yet, to hit that like button for me, helps out the channel a ton. The first point I want to mention is that what the First Amendment applies to U.S. citizens, members of the United States. So therefore, if you are here on visa, the First Amendment does not apply to you, whether you like it or not. According to what I researched today, and I studied a little bit into it because I had a lot of people telling me that it wasn't right, that Trump was overreaching on freedom of speech. Turns out that is incorrect. And actually, what I read as well was that a lot of people said you are likely not going to see a lot of legal pushback on this because there are so many arguments that stand for what Trump is doing and that it is 100% legal, that those that might push back against it, they might push back, but probably not very hard because they know legally they don't have a foot to stand on, and that is the very first one. Andre Lucas, thank you so much. Pray for ICE and the military. F. Joe Biden. Yes, I agree 100%. Pray for ICE and Joe Biden. We don't even think about him anymore. Anyways, yeah, so the first thing is this does not apply to individuals on visa, the First Amendment. And you might like that, you might not. But the first thing is, if you are not a U.S. citizen, the amendments do not apply to you. You're on a different set of rules. So that is the first thing why they're saying that this is not an issue. Next also is that you are the First Amendment is not freedom of speech with no limitations. I actually discovered that there is freedom of speech, First Amendment, but there are restrictions and limitations to it. And one of the things is you can't support a terrorist group. Hamas has been declared a terrorist group by the United States. So if you are sharing rhetoric that supports a terrorist group, you will be held accountable for that in the First Amendment. And that is, of course, if this even applied to those students that are on visas, but it doesn't. They are on visas, so none of this even applies to them. We simply can deport them if we feel like they're creating issues for any reason. So this is not an overreach from what I read by the president. There could be some legal pushback, but what we're hearing is you're likely not going to see it. And if you do, it's not going to be very aggressive because they know fully well and understand that Trump is within his legal means. And so they're saying that this is coming next. Now, there are some of these groups that are saying, hey, they should have the right to be able to share in their thoughts. And what I'm finding in the amendment is no, that is not the case. There are limitations to freedom of speech. And also there are certain things that are protected that you might be surprised about. But right now with this particular situation, I'm not going to get into all the details. I got several different thoughts of what I studied on the First Amendment and the laws and what is covered. It's surprising, but what they're saying is that this does not apply. It is not just you can say whatever you want. You can't say something that is going to invoke violence. You can't go ahead and just say like, oh, we're going to do this terrible thing. Hate speech, though, you can actually do hate speech. You can, according to the First Amendment, it's protected. From what I saw, now I'm not an attorney, but it looks like you can say that you dislike a group of people. That's totally fine, but you can't invoke violence against the group of people. So right now what we're hearing is that they are saying that they support a terrorist group, but since it's a terrorist group, that's not okay. So right now they're in violation of that First Amendment by supporting a terrorist group, and it doesn't even apply to them because they are here on visa. So what I'm seeing is there are so many things that are stacked against these students. If they have been speaking out, they probably want to pack their bags, because from what I'm reading right now, it looks like Donald Trump is 100% within his authority to do an executive order that says if you are supporting Hamas, a terrorist group, and you are here on visa as a foreign student, and you are vocalizing these things that are anti-Semitic, he can, as he very well wishes, ship you out of here. And I also think that it's just not even a legal issue, but a moral issue. Constitution, that's great, but here's the thing: if we have given you the privilege, the benefit to allow you to come into our country, and you have the audacity, the stupidity to go out into the streets and protest against our nation and against our allies, and to make these claims, well, I personally think that for that boldness, that ridiculousness that we have allowed you to come in to get a better education, and that's what you're supposed to be here for, I 100% support shipping them out. But that's just my personal opinion. And like I said, if the tables were turned and we had U.S. students on visa in China and you spoke out against them, or in these other nations in the Middle East, or in Russia, what do you think would happen? Where they don't even have the level of freedom of speech that we have in the United States. Let me know your thoughts on that. I see Harris, here's your chance, saying, idiots, you are so right, Steve. Yeah, well, you know what I think the thing is, too, is like, under the Biden administration, with the policies that we had, they felt emboldened to go ahead and go into the streets and say whatever they want and feel like there's going to be no consequences, no repercussions. And like the article said, a lot of the situations weren't where it was just simply they were making verbal claims or making statements. There was actual physical harassment. As we saw the last paragraph in this quote, he said, however, he says that these extremists, that they have made it very clear, they're not here for conversation at all. Many of them have strict policies, actually, not to engage in conversation at all. And we've seen this in these protests, where individuals try to engage them in conversation, try to do interviews. They won't speak to them. They'll scream at them. They'll shout. This is not a First Amendment issue, it says. It's a question of violence and intimidation and harassment. And so that is where they're saying it crosses the line from the First Amendment, and it goes further into something that is much worse, which should be punishable. And they're saying, get them out. So, like I said, though, that is what we're hearing is going to be coming next. But right now, what we are currently dealing with is with mass deportations of these criminals that are here. And like I shared with you, in the last 24 hours, we're hearing that cartels authorize the use of weaponized drones against ICE agents. Here's another one: cartels using weaponized drones at the border. Not surprising, says Ivy. Border Patrol cartels okay drone bombs on agents, and this comes as just earlier this week on Monday we saw no one was injured after a Border Patrol cartel shootout took place in Fronton, Texas. And also we are hearing that ICE raids are taking place. People are saying to do terrible things to the ICE agents that are trying to help keep America safe and ship out these criminals that are here illegally committing these heinous crimes. False rumors are being spread. They are trying to make sure they can get the criminals out. Please be cautious of the rumors that are spreading that are false on social media. And as I mentioned just a little while ago, we are now hearing what is coming next. If you are wondering, Trump has ordered, with an executive order as of Wednesday, a crackdown on anti-Semitism, and he could be deporting foreign students that are protesting that are here on visa. So there you have it, you guys. A lot going on right now. And I will be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel as more information comes out. But again, I agree with the individuals that sent me the super chat. Please say a prayer for ICE. Say a prayer for our nation. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers, as right now they are making a major effort to make America safe again and to ship out those individuals, and they're endangering themselves as well. So pray for them, pray for their families, and let us also hope that we can see this all get taken care of without any individuals hurt or anything worse. But like I said, I'll continue to keep you guys up to speed on everything so that way you know exactly what is going on. Willie says, Steve, you need to brush up on your Spanish. Yes, I know. I was reading those and I was just trying to do my best to make it through them. So I will do my best to do so. But I see somebody saying amen to that. I see prayer hands coming in. I see Patty saying pray for the agents. Yes. Mark Cooper saying prayers. Appreciate it. And I know we got a large group of praying individuals here on the Steve Ram channel, the Steve Ram fam. Appreciate that a ton. And also thank you for all the prayers that you've done for me and my family. We're starting to feel a whole lot better now. I was planning on staying home from church tomorrow because I wasn't feeling well all week, but now we're all feeling pretty good. So I think we might be at service tomorrow. We'll see. But I will continue to keep you guys up to date on everything. Thank you so much for the well wishes and the prayer. It really means a lot. I'm feeling a whole lot better, and I'll keep you guys up to speed as more information comes out. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't done so yet, please take a second, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. Like I said, it's totally free. Make sure you're staying subscribed to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care, you guys. God bless. This is Steve.